Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to week 5 of the APL here at ZMG. This evening we are bringing to you CB Rush facing off against our very own ZMG Legends. CB Rush is undefeated in Void Division play. However, in their cross-division match last week, they did lose in a 2-0 fashion to Bing Chillers. ZMG, of course, is 2-1 in Void Division play, having struggled last week. This week, they are having an emergency sub and will be penalized 2 bans each game for that. I am your host, Aulzeren0r. I am joined this evening on the bench by PrettyFig.
Guys, it should be an interesting tournament to be had, mainly because I'm curious to see what one ban we do end up banning against CB Rush. So she's saying CB Rush is one of the top teams in the division.
Of course, CB Rush might have a little bit of a tougher time banning out against ZMG Legends since we do have a couple of off roles and a couple of new faces in the roster. Would you like to give our viewers a rundown of what they're going to be seeing from ZMG this evening?
Currently, in this week, Reality or Candy will be in the jungle, and then they are emergency subbing Papa Skips, who is on one of our other plat teams, Frost, as support. Oh, and there goes the Azir ban and Darius ban.
Yeah,
A
looks
big surprise there.
looks like CB Rush is not following the Ragnarok Esports game plan of "Play it, we dare you."
Oh, interesting. It seems that we banned their belt costs, which, considering Cade's reaction in chat, um, oh, they were planning on banning Belkaz against Azir. Interesting. Oh, and we're gonna go first off with the Silver Seraphine. The Seraphine, of course, can be flexed. I'm not too surprised by the Silver pick because of her recent changes. I guess it's not really a buff; it's like a alteration, right? It's not like a buff per se.
Yeah, they've been some pretty strong alterations. They took away the mana regen on her E, instead replacing it with health regen for blocking a summoner spell. They also lowered the cost on her Q, and added the ability to critically strike on that Q. It will do extra damage based off the amount of crit chance. They've also significantly reworked her W so that it's now a time-based rather than auto-attack based, so you can use it as many times as you want within those 3 seconds. And from what I've heard from a couple of ADCs that I play with, she feels very strong right now.
Yeah, I was playing some games yesterday, and my friend and I we pretty much played Sliver Morgana and Sliver Zillion yesterday, and it felt pretty strong. My Sliver did the most damage in the game. Feels good, man. Oh, and it looks like Azir will be picking up the Swain mid.
Not a surprise. That has seemed to be his fallback when Azir is not available. However, it feels like he's struggled in the early game on Swain especially. He's ended up out of position and getting caught out in roams and movement through the jungle, so he'll have to be careful not to overplay his hand here, especially against a team like CB Rush.
Interested to see what jungler Reality ends up picking because I know J4 is one of his main junglers, and he is off role currently.
Is there any shot, do you think, that this Zeri is going mid lane, or is that too solo queue a pick here for CB Rush?
Really think that's probably Ziri ADC. I don't see it in mid lane. I think, yeah. I don't know if that would be very good in comp because I know that can be very punishable in coordinated play.
We do see Ivern and Kindred taken off the table, pinching the already very small champion pool of the off roll here.
Yeah, because I do know that Reality's two main junglers tend to be Jarvan and Kindred. So I'm interested to see what they will pick up for the jungle.
I'm not sure I love giving the off-roll jungler last pick here on red side for ZMG. I feel like that's a misplay.
I will say though, ZMG does have a very strong team fight with the Seraphine, Swain, and Orin picks.
Absolutely. However, it does give CB Rush the chance to counterpick both of their solo lanes here. Looks like we will get that with the Sylas. Obviously has a bunch of strong ultimates from ZMG to steal already. For the mid lane, what can we expect to see? Timer ticking down, but no hover here.
And it will be Gwen top. I'm pretty sure Gwen is very strong in the Orin. Let me actually double make sure.
Gwen also did get a minor slate of buffs in this patch to most of her abilities, so will be slightly stronger than we've seen in previous weeks of Aegis play.
Currently, Gwen has a 52.76% win rate into Orin.
That would sure do it. Last pick is going to be the Diana for Candy in the jungle here.
It's really just Seraphine jungle.
Yeah, Sivir support, Diana ADC.
Yeah.
They're pulling out all the stops, right?
No, it's Swain. It's Swain support, right?
Of
And Diana mid.
course, of
Yeah.
course. All right, well, with these teams finalized from both sides, how can we expect the early game to go? Where are these junglers going to be focusing?
Um. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was reading what was happening in our lobby. There will be apparently. Oh no, he's back. Okay. I expect the jungler to be kind of mid.
For both teams, or for ZMG in particular?
I think it'll be mid for ZMG and bot for CB Rush. Because Gwen should win the Ornn matchup by herself, and I feel like getting an Ornn ahead doesn't really. It's nice, but like, it's not really the priority here. I think you really want to get your Swain roaming and strengthen that Sever Seraphine bot lane.
Is there any concern for ZMG that the bot lane's going to be particularly vulnerable since it's a substitute player here?
I mean, I guess one benefit is that we did pull the ESUB from our own org, so I'm pretty sure Papa Skips has played a decent amount of games with at least Azir and Reality.
Very fair.
Also, Seraphine,
Not exactly the
well,
hardest champ in the world, that is true.
yeah, and and Sivir kind of has somewhat of her own peel with her spell shield, so like, I think it'll be okay.
Only time will tell. All right, well, both of these teams are getting prepped to load onto the Rift. In the spirit of competitive integrity, of course, we will be stepping aside for a couple of minutes here to let the teams load in and get started. When we come back, the first match here between CB Rush and ZMG Legends for Week 5 of APL. Don't go anywhere, folks. We will be right back. trouble with love is. What the trouble with love is. What the trouble with love is.
Gotta save me from myself. This emptiness, it hurts like hell. My good intentions let me down. I keep getting in my way. My stubborn pride will dig my grave. Please hit me up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome onto the Rift. Both teams have loaded in and gotten started moving out here. We have CV Rush on the blue side and ZMG Legends on the red. Any surprises from summoner spells, keystones, and early buys here? PrettyFig.
I am currently looking. I think everything looks pretty standard across the board. Gwen does tend to go the TP Ignite, and Silver getting cleanse kind of makes sense, especially with the Braum and the Silas
I,
potential for Susu.
I'm not sure how I feel about Ultimate Spellbook on Ornn.
Oh, I was looking at the summoners. I apparently hadn't gone to the. That's an interesting one. Is that a standard build? I I feel like I usually see Grasp.
Yeah, Grasp is more standard from what I've seen, and I feel like into a melee matchup like Gwen, it would be perfectly fine. However, I suppose Donut wants the ability to be able to swap out the flash and teleport during the relatively long cooldowns that both of those have, especially the teleport.
Kind of like what we were discussing in the in between Loden. We were kind of talking about how the early game I feel like is really going to depend on the junglers and their ability to get their lanes ahead.
J4 had a much healthier first camp clear. He's full health here as he goes to clear his second buff. Meanwhile, Reality down to about half. Gonna mean that J4 can look for ganks earlier. Glacial's taking a lot of poke here, down to only about 100 health. Looks like bot lane is going in favor of ZMG at the moment.
Well, Braum does kind of stop the Seraphine ult with his shield. He does tend to get poked down a lot in a, two range matchup versus, Braum.
Yeah, that's very fair. Looks like we're seeing a delayed invade here for the red buff of Diana here. With both his top and mid lanes fairly pushed in, Cade feels comfortable walking in. Will not find the red buff. Might find the Diana on chickens here, though. No, looks like they're going to be ships in the night here, as Diana is looking for a gank on Rutledge. However, the Silas has sniffed it out, and it looks like J4 is coming as well, so the junglers will meet here.
It up, yeah.
Rutledge goes in. Flag and drag does not connect. Azir down to about half health, but cannot go any further. Rutledge forced to flash away from the Death's Grasp as Reality goes in. Reality now taking a whole lot of poke, down to about 100 health, and will fall. First Blood goes over to Rutledge. Teagarden has roamed up, though, and will take the kill back. Rutledge falls to the ADC, and Cade now has to be very careful. Teagarden with double buffs is threatening on that early game Sivir. But with the help of Braum, able to disengage here. Well, that was a pretty good roam from Teagarden and Skips there. However, it let Glacial have about half a minute alone with these minions in the bot lane.
I mean, but you can kind of see how strong those roams will be with the Seraphine route into like a Sivir Q, or even her W now that it can rebound back onto people.
Absolutely. Looks like Teagarden's going to take advantage of the early blue buff to push out this lane pretty hard. And some solid vision control from ZMG on the bot side of the map. Looks like they're pretty prepped for this Drake that'll be coming up in about 30 seconds here.
It's also kind of important. Oh, and Braum got stunned. Well, rooted. It's not really a stun. It's a root.
Took a...
Ow, that W really from Sivir really hurting that Braum there.
Yeah, down to about 100 health. The level up will bring him back into combat range as the J4 is down here, so Teagarden and Skips have to be a little bit careful, especially since the Seraphine is so low on mana, using it very aggressively to poke. Rutledge going in on his ear, does not know that reality is here though. The Death Grasp does land once again, and now Rutledge finds himself at the wrong side of this fight. 200 health here. May just die. Looks like there's not quite enough damage, and he will walk away.
Azir needs to be a little bit careful for the J4 gank. Especially since I'm pretty sure he used his flash earlier.
Did use flash earlier. Flag and Drag does knock up the Azir this time, and Swain will fall. That's a second kill over to this Sylas. Starting to get a little bit problematic in the mid lane.
And with they should be able to also get priority over Dragon if they so choose.
Looks like they're slightly more concerned with just hard pushing this wave out at the moment. Reality is all the way up on his Krugs, but with Cade recalling here, the Dragon will not be a priority. I've noticed we've seen a pretty significant CS advantage in this top lane already for the Gwen.
Surprisingly, Zeri also has a slight CS advantage.
Well, she did have a few minutes alone while Sivir roamed.
I will say though, the Sylas does kind of seem to be, I wouldn't say a counter, but definitely a strong matchup against the Swain, especially since, if I remember correctly, Sylas does have better scaling with the Swain ult than Swain.
Not only will he steal all of your abilities, he will do better than you with them. Sounds like a perfect Riot Games champion to me. Once again, we see Cade moving into this mid lane. Azir has to be very careful here. The Flag and Drag does not connect, but the Cataclysm will. Azir forced to pop his ult, but Rutledge has it as well. Cade will take this kill, but that is the third death in this mid lane.
Like they are definitely doing the camp the mid lane strat. And I will say though, I did kind of mention earlier how I thought it was actually going to be ZMG that focused mid, but it seems that the J4 has read the playbooks and is currently camping.
Yeah, Rutledge is a bit deep here. Looks like he's not going to be punished for it, but I'm not sure why he was between the turrets there. Donut does get engaged on the Gwen, popping the ultimate here. Will not have enough damage though, and Donut will be perfectly fine at around 450 health. Diana may be caught out here, has found Rutledge, but Cade is in the area as well. And Insanity, the Braum, is on the way as well. Reality will fall. This is 4 deaths now for this mid-jungle pair. 5 as Rutledge claims a second kill in that fight. Now up to 4-1. Papa Skips has to be careful here. Cade, even without the ultimate, can absolutely assassinate the Seraphine. Uh-oh. Has found her in the jungle. The knockup does land. The Q from the Braum does not connect. There will be no assist here unless he jumps forward, does get the assist, and Cade gets yet another kill. Disastrous for ZMG.
It looks like now that they know that a CB rush is on Drake, Reality will choose to try to get the Rift Herald as a response.
Trying to get the Rift Herald. However, if Rutledge happens to roam up, he's going to find himself in a world of hurt. Rutledge alone can absolutely destroy the Diana at this point, but looks like he's choosing to reset instead, so the Diana will be safe.
I think Diana and Swain were actually in a good position originally. It's just that since the Braum roamed up and the Seraphine was a little bit further behind, it just didn't go very ideal.
Yes, but unfortunately, looking back at what could have been will not help ZMG right now. A 2,000 gold lead in this mid lane already is going to be a problem as they move into the mid game, Rift Herald or no. The Everfrost comes out, puts some damage onto Azir, but looks like that's all it's going to be is a little bit of a trade.
Azir is just kind of walking into all of Silas' abilities.
And is definitely paying for it, already down to about half health here. And with the orb already completed for Rutledge, he will not have as much healing as he expects from that ultimate, leaving this Swain in a deep, deep hole. Captain Donut has roamed down. The Diana is here as well. The ultimate from the Ornn coming out, but Rutledge has taken that Swain ult once again, getting a lot of healing here. Reality now has to be very careful as the Cataclysm is enough to take him out. Azir now very low, very close to dying. Rutledge continues to heal out of his mind. Azir is so close to dying, but Rutledge cannot finish off the kill. That is a 2-for-1 in the 2v3. And now...
as you can kind of see, this is kind of the difference between Silas having his first item and a Oblivion Orb versus the 0 anti-heal on ZMG.
Plus, when the completed item is compared to the lost chapter, it does not feel good. Silas now roaming down to the bot lane here. Looks like Skips and Teagarden aren't aware of this. They're in a dangerous situation here, as the Silas has already made it all the way down. Rutledge deciding to go hard onto Teagarden instead of Skips. Does get charmed, though, and looks like ZMG will be able to walk away through using both their ultimates and the flash from Teagarden. But a bit of a lucky break there. Not respecting the Silas roam. And now we're seeing the second completed item of the game as J4 has finished that Gore Drinker already. He's going to be a problem in his own right here. Looking to gank Azir once again. Going in is Rutledge. Azir down to about 300 health here. The pull from Deathgrass does pull Cade into turret range. But one turret shot is not enough to scare that J4 away.
Actually do like this Rift Herald play bot mainly because I feel like we need to get Azir onto a side lane. I feel like at this point you kind of want him not to be
the roam
in
down
such a
though.
vulnerable position.
Teagarden and Skips don't have their ultimate. The Cataclysm comes out, knocking up Papa Skips and Teagarden, keeping them locked away. Reality will get charmed here. Is the only one charmed. Cade will fall to Reality here, but Teagarden falls to Glacial. Looks like the Seraphine will fall as well. Reality does escape, but at the cost of both of his bot laners.
Yeah, this is a little greedy to be trying to go for your blue.
Yeah, and the Silas will be coming in. Does get spotted out, but Rutledge now knows that Reality's down to half health. Will be able to take this fight. Looks like he chooses not to. Reality playing a bit too carefully. And Rutledge will instead back off to match this Swain. Actually, will be going in here. Does land. And Azir down to about 500 health. His health bar just evaporates into the Silas combo, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think honestly, Silas just seems to be a very strong response into the Swain pick.
Worth noting as well that despite the Rift Herald play, ZMG have not taken that bot turret quite yet. They will probably get it on this wave, but it means that Azir can't rotate down just yet. Is forced to head back into the mid lane here. Teagarden has been caught out by Cade. Oh, the flag takes the spell shield. Teagarden gets knocked up. The cleanse will not help from the knockup there. Teagarden down to about 100 health. Will fall to Cade here. The turret does fall, but still, Cade putting a lot of damage onto Skips. The Diana is roaming down, but the stun connects, and Cade will get the double kill here. The suicide to the turret to keep the kill from going over to Reality. And now Insanity has to be careful. Glacial putting a lot of damage down onto the Diana in response, though, down to under half health here. And with Glacial untouched, Candy has to back away. Rutledge goes over the wall, does connect with the Abscond. Azir down to 300 health, forced to pop that ultimate, and Rutledge will just steal the Swain ult and walk away.
I will say though, I feel like the Silas has hit like every like little like
Yeah,
what is that called?
his Abscond Abduct has been on point. I'm slowly becoming a better caster and learning the names of abilities.
Yeah, I guess I should. I guess maybe it sounds a little bit better than me saying the stylish dashy dash keeps hitting.
The chains. At least chains sounds a little bit more professional than dashy dash. With that being said, though, looks like CB Rush has control over this second Drake as well. With the Diana heading topside, they're not going to contest this.
Looks like they probably will try to get that second rift, though.
And once again, despite you having said that they probably want Azir in the side lane, they're putting him back mid.
He's just gonna die.
It's absolutely possible, as the J4 and the Silas are both here. Cataclysm does not come through, though, so Azir will be able to walk away at this point.
Because at this point, bot lane is the stronger lane of the two, the mid and bot. So I feel like if you were going to be trying to do this Rift Herald, you really need to have the Sivir and or at least the Seraphine up there.
A little bit too late now, though, as the Braum J4 Silas death trio has roamed up there. Glacial barely avoiding the root, does force the teleport out from the Gwen here. With Pip joining this fight, Skips and Teagarden have to be very, very careful. Skips taking a lot of damage here, as Donut deciding to pop the Ornal to go in on Cade, has this charge blocked by the Braum before it can even reach him. Reality going in, but gets locked up by the Abscond Abduct and will disappear as a result of the Cataclysm. Now Azir has to be careful, is trying to fight all three members. Papa Skips does fall to Gwen on the other side of this fight, and Donut has lasted long enough that Teagarden has gotten all the way up here, but Sivir cannot save his top laner here, and that's going to be a mid lane falling. That's a Rift Herald claimed by CB Rush, and this is disastrous for ZMG Legends. Well, any more disastrous than the rest of this game? Perhaps not, but still problematic.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's kind of the strength of the Braum. He is, with his passive, able to proc a stone on every single member if you hit the 4 charges required.
Even more important in that fight, though, he completely stopped the Ornn ult from happening. We do see the Seraphine ult stolen by Rutledge here. Insanity has to be careful, down to about a quarter health. And Teagarden does put out a lot of damage on this Sivir, but will be able to get away.
Looks like they will try to get a kill onto the Zeri.
Yep, Glacial has to be careful here. Does use the flash. Will it be enough? No, the flash to match from Reality here. Glacial putting out some damage, but has to use that dash defensively early. Cannot get over a wall with it. The Death's Grasp does not land, and Glacial is doing a good job kiting here. Is not quite enough, as Reality manages to survive with about 250 health.
I think you're slightly behind me.
I do believe I am. I've had a couple of lag moments here, so we can blame that on the indie game servers, as Cade goes in, forces the flash out of the Sivir. Will not be enough to keep him away from the Seraphine ult coming out of the Silas. Seraphine will be the sacrifice, as the Sivir ult is popped to keep Teagarden safe. Now Cade going over the wall, fighting Donut, finds Teagarden as well. Going to take a lot of damage here. Has to be a little bit careful. Despite being behind, ZMG's Sivir can put out a lot of damage. And Cade is not built defensively at this point. Only has the Gore Drinker and a Hex Drinker in terms of somewhat defensive items. Look at the gold differences across the board. The mid gap has ballooned to 3,400. The jungle gap is about 14 at the moment. Top is about 13. Bot is about 8. The only lane that's close is support, and even there the Braum is up by about 100 gold.
Well, I think just look at the amount of more assists that Braum has over the Seraphine.
Oh, absolutely. He's been all over the map. Skips has been kind of chained to T-Garden in the early game, whereas Insanity has felt comfortable enough to let Glacial on his own here.
I will say though, as you can kind of see, the the Silver W is really doing some damage. It's a little, but you know.
It starts to add up, yeah.
Oh.
We do see
Honestly,
the...
I think at this point they really just need to be able to kill these people. So I think I would have actually rather have seen something like Aleandri's on the Seraphine. Especially since it seems that Seraphine is the one able to output more damage in these few fights.
Flash is forced out. Cade does flash over the wall as well, but Papa Skips will be able to get away. Flag and Drag does finally come out of Cade, and the Cataclysm going on to T-Garden here, but Cade has gone too deep. Cade, holy crow, the Gore Drinker is not quite enough. The shutdown going over to the Diana here as Pip is going very, very deep and will fall as well. A little bit of over-aggression from CB Rush is taken advantage of, but now Rutledge is in the back line. Rutledge with that Swain ult on his Silas is doing and healing so much damage with the quadra kill. Is it enough? No, does not finish it off. Papa Skips is the only member alive here. And as that low health Seraphine is not able to defend this turret, looked like CB Rush had gone too far there, but they turned it around with the help of that incredibly fed Silas.
I feel like it's important to note that the Silas has the completed
Morello's.
Morello's. So he healed reduce, assuming it just got built about 600 damage, and there's still no anti heal. Well, I guess there is now on Seraphine. She just built the Oblivion Orb, but
Yeah,
I
but
feel like that was kind of the main turning point of that game of that fight was the fact that CB Rush had anti heal and ZMG still didn't.
yeah, in terms of effective health there, Rutledge easily had double or triple his actual health bar by the time he was done with that fight. And now at 10 and 1, he's got a completed Zanya's. He's 3 items at 21 minutes. This Silas is, I don't want to say untouchable, but it's going to be incredibly difficult for ZMG to wear him down. Gwen now starting to run down. Looks like CB Rush wants to have control of the red buff side as Seagarden gets the Cataclysm onto his face. The ultimate from Braum will not knock up anybody, but the Seraphine ult stolen by the Silas will be deadly. Reality and T-Garden both fall as Rutledge is holding off Swain and Seraphine by himself. No, I'm sorry, that was Pip that was holding them both off. The Ornn is not able to do a whole lot of anything, forced to walk away, and that's probably going to be a Baron here. Relatively uncontested for CB Rush. They don't have their jungler, but neither does ZMG.
I almost feel like it would have been better to have top lane have a counter pick here because although I really do love Ornn in team comp, I do feel like he is very easily abused if he's picked early, mainly on the fact that you can just kind of pick a carry top lane and then suddenly Ornn health isn't really as big of a deal.
This is very true. I also feel like deliberately picking Ornn into Braum is inviting destruction, since Braum, with the E, does such a good job of keeping Ornn's ult from having any effect on the game.
And Papa Skip's getting caught out here trying to get a deep ward. I think that was a little greedy. I don't think if you are ZMG right now, you can really be trying to go for any vision that's outside of your jungle without some help.
Absolutely not, especially if you're the incredibly behind, incredibly squishy Seraphine. You might want to pause for just a second to make sure we're on the same wavelength as Azir running out of health here too. Down to about 150. The Ignite is ticking. Will not be quite enough. Will be able to walk away with his tail between his legs. Pip now has to be careful as Teagarden and Reality are both roaming over. And the Gwen is easily the least fed member of this CB Rush team, so the most open to being abused by a death ball from ZMG here. Looks like the result of that pressure in the bot side is going to be the Baron finally taken by CB Rush though. Is spotted out by the blue ward of Teagarden and by the Visions of Empire of Azir, but Reality is stunned, is knocked airborne, and will be deleted here by Glacial. Cade is continuing to fight the Baron solo as the rest of his team are just, farming champions, not objectives. Sivir has gotten the outer mid turret, but that is a very small consolation prize in return for 2 deaths and a Baron here.
I feel like they just need more vision. I think Sivir needs to get a Farsight and then start helping her team get the deeper vision without risking,
Well,
everyone's life.
she does have a blue trinket at the moment. She does have that far side orb.
Oh.
She did use it on the Baron there, but then did not join her team for the fight, which left Reality and Azir separated and dead. And with Soul Point here in 50 seconds, you almost need to see ZMG Death Ball for Vision here, I feel like.
Feel like they just don't have enough damage with how far behind everyone is, especially against that Silas. I don't know how they're gonna kill him. I don't know if they really have a answer.
Into
yet.
the nearly 4-item Silas at
Yeah.
25 minutes. No, I think at this point you just accept the Silas as a fact of life, unless you can manage to get a 5v1 fight where he doesn't have access to Swain ult. And at this point, I don't think there's ever a point where he doesn't have access to
I
Swain
don't
ult
think
if he
you go
wants it.
through the jungle as ZMG if you're gonna try to go for this Drake. I honestly think you go through lane and then walk in as 5.
Yeah, but with the Baron buffed minions here from CB Resh, they really don't have the opportunity to push through either of the lanes. Looks like they are finally going in through the jungle. Is not contested. However, Rutledge has gotten that Swain ult, is going in hard onto Azir and Teagarden on the other side of the fight. Reality is caught by Cade. And now with Pip and Rutledge forcing off the entirety of the rest of ZMG, this is a rout. Earth Soul is taken, 4 members of ZMG are killed, and all of the health bars on CB Rush are just about full. It's almost like they didn't fight. Looks like they will push in pretty hard here. Gonna go ahead and get that inhibitor turret and the inhibitor itself as well. They might consider ending the game here. There's still about 10 seconds left on all of the death timers. Reality will be the first one to respawn, but Teagarden's gonna find himself dying as a result of that cataclysm. Cade has done such a good job of diving deep into the backline here in these fights, and the Nexus will fall. That is game 1 in a rout, 32-9 in favor of CB Rush. And that's not what you wanted to see if you're ZMG Legends.
I think that in the next draft phase, Silas might be more of a prio ban over that Vel'Koz, especially if they are gonna pick a team with such great ultis for a little Silas.
Yeah, no kidding, especially with how well the Silas was piloted in that game. You can't imagine that Legends will let that through again.
Should be
But
their one ban
with
in the
only one
Christian.
ban, they don't have a whole lot of choice or a whole lot of wiggle room. Looks like ZMG has chosen the blue side for game 2 here. Well, other than banning the Silas, perhaps, how does ZMG take game one and bring back this series in game two. Obviously, we thought they picked the stronger team. We thought they had a better team fight, but they lost the early game so hard that it felt like they never had a chance for that team comp to do well.
Feel like maybe Azir needs to be on an earlier champ, maybe, or um, or they just need to like kind of cut down the bleeding mid so that the bot lane and top lane are able to scale. So maybe put Azir on something like a Galio, like if you're trying to make it like a safe lane, and then put your carry in the top and in the ADC role. And then I think maybe they might need to pick the jungle a little bit earlier on, especially since Reality's champ pool is slightly smaller in the jungle than in support. I wonder if they're gonna first pick the J4. To be honest,
It is possible. Cade did such a good job playing it, and it is apparently one of reality's more common jungle champions. However, he didn't do poorly on the Diana. The Diana handled just fine and was arguably the best individual play out of the team. But it just didn't affect the game. All right, well, as we wait for these teams to get sorted for the draft for game two, we will step aside for just a minute here. When we come back, the draft for game two between ZMG Legends and CB Rush. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.